Okay, we're going to do a few problems from 11-4, adding and subtracting rational expressions. Alright, so when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you need to make sure you have a common denominator. So let's look at the denominator of problem number 1. And let's see, this is a quantity. And this is a quantity. The quantity is the same, it's n plus 3, so that's our denominator. Okay? When you add fractions, once you get a common denominator, then you're just going to add or subtract what's on the top of the fraction. In this case, there's an n and a 2. N's only go with n's, numbers go with numbers, so we're going to keep the n by itself, and we're just going to put a plus 2 here. And that's our answer. Okay, number 2, we're going to look to see, do we have a common denominator? And we do. It's 4n, or 4x squared plus 2. Again, these are quantities, so we can't cancel anything unless we can cancel that whole quantity. Alright, now we look at the top. We're just going to add x squared and x squared. So at the top of our fraction we have 2x squared. And then I have a 3 and a negative 2, so I have a positive 1. So that's the second answer. Okay, this one's a subtraction. I look to see if I have a common denominator. And I do. So my denominator is 2t minus 3. And then we're subtracting, so we have a 3. We've got a common terms, 3t and a negative 5t. I'm going to keep, change, and I end up with a negative 2t at the top. Again, we can't cancel it because this is a quantity. So there's my answer for number 3. Okay, number 4. Do I have a common denominator? I'm going to change my color here. I do. It's a y minus 1. Again, it's a quantity. So I cannot cancel unless I can cancel that whole quantity. Okay. Now we have a quantity here. We have a quantity here. In front of the last one, we have an invisible 1. Let's write it in there so we don't forget we have that. Okay, so over here, I have a 2y plus 1. But on this part of our equation, or problem, we need to distribute that negative 1. So negative 1 times y is negative y. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. I still have y minus 1 at the bottom. Now at the top, we have a 2y and a negative 1y, so that gives me 1y, because 2 minus 1 is 1. And I have a 2 and a negative, or a 1 and a negative 2, so that gives me a negative 1. Again, these are quantities, so I'm going to go through, and now I can cancel these two quantities. We have a 1 over 1, which is 1, so that's my answer for number 4. Oh, sorry. Okay, number 5. It asks for you to find the LCD, the lowest common divisor. And so I just look at these two at the bottom here. I'm looking at this one and this one. Those two are my denominators. And I ask myself, okay, I have a 5 and a 7. What number do they have in common? And I see that they could both make a 35. So I'm going to multiply this by 7. And if I was doing it in a math problem, I'd multiply the top by 7. But we're just worried about the bottom. We're trying to find our lowest common divisor. And if I multiplied that by 7, I'd multiply this side by 5. So my number on my divisor is 35. Here I have 1b. Here I have 3b's. What's the the largest number is what they have in common, so it's going to be b to the third. And this one has a c when that one doesn't, but they would both have to have a c. So there is my lowest common divisor, I believe it's called. Alright, number 7, we're going back to adding and subtracting fractions. Alright, now in this one, do we have a common denominator? And we don't. So I look at my 5 and I have a 3. Okay, can I do anything to 3 to make it a 5? Can I do anything to 5 to make it a 3? And the answer is no. And I say, okay, how about 5 times 2? That would give me a 10. Can I do something to 3 to give me a 10? And I can't. Then I go, okay, I've got 5 times 3 would be 15. Can I make 3 a 15? And the answer is yes. So our lowest, or a number that they have in common, is a 15. So I'm going to multiply this side by 3 over 3. And I'll multiply this side by 5, top and bottom. Okay, so now over here I have 15a over 35. It's plus. Over here I have 15, but and I have a 6, because I multiplied 3 times 2 is 6. But this one has an a, so that means for this other side I need to make sure I multiply this top and bottom by an a. Okay, now do I have a common denominator? I do. It's 15a. Now it's addition, so I'm going to keep the number, because numbers go with numbers. And over here I have 6a, and a's go with a's. I cannot combine these two, because this one is a 6a and this one's a 35. So here's my answer for number 6. Alright, let's do 7. Do they have a common denominator? And they don't. So this one has an n to the third, and this one has a 7 n to the second. Okay, this one's lacking a 7, so I'm going to multiply top, bottom and top by 7. 7 over 7. And this one, so now on this I have a 7 n to the third over, and this is multiplication, 49, minus, okay, I have 7 n to the second here, but I need a 7 n to the third, so I'm going to multiply this by another n, because when I add these together I get 7 n to the third. And at the top I have a 9n. Okay, so my common denominator is a 7 n to the third. At the top I have a 49, which is a number. And at the top I have a negative 9n, which is an n. So numbers go with numbers, and n's go with n's. So I cannot put those together because they're two separate things. And there's my answer for number 7. Okay, and one more. Alright, now do I have a common denominator? And I don't. I have two quantities at the bottom. Okay, so now I have a plus 3 and a plus 5. Alright, to get a common denominator, I say, okay, this is a plus 3. What's missing? Oh, the a plus 5. So I'm going to multiply a plus 5 over here. What I do the bottom, I have to do the top. Okay, and on this side, if this is a plus 5, what's missing? Oh, the a plus 3. Okay, so now do I have a common denominator? And I do. My denominator is a plus 5 and a plus 3. That's my denominator. At the top of my fraction here, I have an a. I'm going to put it in the front because I like it there. Then I have a plus 5 plus 4 a plus 3. Okay, my next step to this is now I have a distributive property. So now I have a squared plus 5a, and then here I have positive 4a, and then I have a positive 12, all over a plus 5 and a plus 3. Okay, I'm almost done, not quite. I need to combine like terms up here. Well, I only have 1a squared. I have positive 5a and a positive 4a, which is a positive 9a. And then I just have a 12. That's the top of my fraction. The bottom of my fraction is a plus 5 and a plus 3. Alright, and now I look at the top of my fraction and I ask myself, can that be factored? Could I use the x and do this? And if I think about it, 12 times 1 is 12. Add together give me 9. So is there any two numbers that I can multiply together to give me 12, but adds together to give me 9? So I can maybe factor that. So I have 1 and 12. No, that wouldn't give me 9. 2 and 6. 6, 7, 8. No, that just gives me 8. And then I have a 4 and a 3. And that gives me 7. So I don't. So I can't do any more with this. So right here is my final answer. Okay, so that is 11, 4. Adding and subtracting rational expressions.